is the greatest film of all time? Citizen Kane, perhaps It's a Wonderful Life, or even Die Hard, because that's also awesome as well. Well, there's a hot new contender. It's become one of the highest rated movies ever, but it might not be one that you'd immediately think of. So is this the greatest film of all time?
Mr. Gruber. Oh, what's this?
Ah, this is London.
It's wonderful. Aunt Lucy always dreamed of coming to London. If she saw this, it would be like she were finally here. Aunt Lucy!
Oh, Paddington.
Where do you think you're going, Bear?
Paddington wouldn't hesitate if any of us needed help.
He looks for the good in all of us. Oh. Come on, Wolfie.
Ow.
That is the 2017 film Paddington 2, now one of the highest rated films of all time, even beating Citizen Kane. But why now? And is it really worth the hype? Part of me listens to it and I'm like, how is this like the greatest film? It's a little bit ridiculous, but everyone loves it. Film critic James Luxford joins me now. Hey James, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Are you surprised Paddington 2 is the greatest film, supposedly?
Not so much. I think it's a dangerous thing to sort of rank movies in this way because so many films are so different, and you can't really think of two more separate films than Citizen Kane, the story of the loneliness of power and a media mogul, and a family film about a bear who wants to get a book for his aunt. But they are both wonderful movies. I think Paddington is just, it sounds like a funny thing to say this family movie is considered one of the greats, but people often overlook things like Pixar or the early kind of Disney golden era movies as genuine works of art, because a film can only do as what it sets out to do, which is entertain everyone in the family and bring a lump to your throat. And I think Paddington does that. It also is incredibly funny. Hugh Grant as the villain, egotistical actor. And I just think it works in every sense and in everything it sets out to do.
Yeah, I mean, the cast also makes it really good as well. But I do agree with you, like comparing something like Die Hard, Bruce Willis in a vest top and Alan Rickman just being an absolute legend, to a bear who eats marmalade sandwiches and Hugh Grant being a villain. It's a really interesting way to compare films and decide which one is the best. But I think it's like an all-round crowd pleaser, Paddington 2 and Paddington 1 as well. Now, your 5-star review of this film was quoted on the poster. Are you to blame for this, James?
I'm certainly part of that Rotten Tomatoes 100% algorithm. So
wow.
I suppose I'm part of. I reviewed it for the Radio Times and I absolutely loved it, and as did everyone else. I think it's rare, particularly in these days, to find something everyone agrees on in art or in life. But I think it's something that everyone went to and got something from. Whether you're a very young kid who just likes the funny bits and the action sequences and the slapstick, or if you're an adult who likes the sort of almost old-fashioned sentimentality of it. I think it's just a really well-made film, and a film that I think the British film industry can be very proud of.
Do you know what it reminds me of? The kind of comfort that you get from Paddington is the amount of comfort that I used to get from watching Mary Poppins with Julie Andrews. I think there's something in there, because a lot of people go to films for comfort now, especially in a pandemic. But this was 4 years ago this film came out. Why is it getting all the acclaim now?
Well, films grow on people. Paddington was a big hit at the time at the box office, but it's been on rotation in homes and in kids' club screenings at cinemas for a few years. People have had a chance to watch it a few times. I think it's clear it's going nowhere. And to be honest, quite a few films that we love and consider some of the greatest had to grow on us. Wizard of Oz and, as you mentioned, It's a Wonderful Life weren't very big hits at the time they came out. They were considered too somber or too surreal. It was the advent of cable television that put it in people's homes. And in the case of It's a Wonderful Life, I believe it's because the copyright ran out on it and TV stations could show it for free. I just think these movies do take a while. Citizen Kane itself was a success, but it became considered legendary, really, in the 70s and 80s because critics like me were of the age where they'd grown up with Citizen Kane. So it's all about perspective, and it's all about what stays around in your affections in terms of watching something over and again.
I'm literally really interested to know about what the next kind of film that will come around will be. Perhaps it could be Die Hard again. Perhaps it could be The Princess Diaries, one of my favourites. Who knows? But the big question, is this film really better than Citizen Kane?
I think it's very difficult to say. The late Barry Norman once commented that ranking films is a bit like saying chalk is good but cheese is better. And I agree. I think it's a matter of preference. The reason Citizen Kane has been around for so long is because it made a lot of people very happy. If you're a cinema fan, you love the technical aspects of cinema, there's not really much to say about much you can criticize about Citizen Kane. But if you're a fan of the way a movie makes you feel, Paddington 2, there isn't really much better stories than these movies. The first one was pretty good as well. I think probably with the way culture moves forward, Paddington 2 will probably begin to pull away from what is now a very old film in Citizen Kane. But it's worth remembering that going from 100% on Rotten Tomatoes to 99% is hardly a disaster.
Exactly. I mean, it's done so well, and it's been 4 years, so that will be fine. But let's talk about a brand new movie, which is meant to be feel-good like Paddington. The Mitchells versus the Machines. You've raved about this, James. I have no idea about what this is. Why is it so good? It's
a wonderful film. It was one of those movies that was meant for the cinema, but became went to streaming. Netflix bought it up. It's about a family who are addicted to those devices that we all are, can't get on because the children are looking at their screens and the dad doesn't understand technology, and they go on a road trip to the oldest daughter's college just around the time that a phone voiced by Olivia Colman takes over all of the devices in the world and stages a technology uprising. It's an animated movie from the makers of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Into the Spider-Verse, which was an Oscar-winning film a couple of years ago. And it's just so much fun, so funny, really action-packed, very clever, great LGBTQ representation in there, which is quite surprising for a Hollywood family film. But overall, I think it just reflects modern families so well. The understanding that sometimes gets lost in the generation gaps, and it's also just very, very funny. I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Oh, you've sold it to me, to be honest, because it's on Netflix as well, so it's easy to go and find and watch. And I'll be interested to see what that's like, if it's going to be just as feel-good as Paddington. James, thank you so much for weighing in this debate and, talking to me about Paddington, Citizen Kane, Mitchells vs. Machines. I feel like today's a very film day. If the weather's not too sunny, it's definitely a film day, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always a good time to throw on something that makes you feel better.
Exactly. Thanks, James. Have a good rest of your Monday, okay?
Thank you, you too.
Thanks. That's James Luxford. They are a film and TV critic. And, do you think Paddington 2 is the greatest film of all time? I'm very interested to know.